Hello, I'm Erin Cox, physiotherapist. We're going to look at the neurology and vascularization of the elbow. So, neurology. First of all, we're going to look at the elbow, which means we're looking at all aspects, the anterior, the lateral, the medial, and the posterior, which is involving the humeral ulnar joint, the radial ulnar joint, and also the proximal radial ulnar joint, and also the humeral ulnar joint. So when you're looking at the innervation, first look at the segmental innervation. And if you're trying to differentiate between a peripheral problem or perhaps a radiculopathy, you need to know what segmental innervation there is. So you can see more on the lateral side, or we've got the C6. On the anterolateral side, more C5. On the anterior medial side, T1. And on the medial side, C8. And on the posterior side or posterior lateral, we're looking more at C7. Again, don't forget your conductivity test, so the neuro exam. And again, in the different dermatomes, a little closer look. This is the anterior aspect. There could even be some T2 as well in there. But then you think of whatever, the Hilton's law, whatever crosses and innervates also the skin in that area will innervate the articulations as well. Now, take a good look at the dermatomes. We looked at this in the hand and in the wrist sections, but for the dermatomes, how it is split into the C6 and the C7 and the C8 in the hand, different from how we're going to look at the ulnar, radial, and median nerves. And of course, C6 here, and then the T1 in the forearm. Peripheral supply, so musculocutaneous, via the nerve to the brachialis supplies the anterior capsule, C5, C6, C7. The median region also innervates the part of the anterior capsule, and depending on the level of dissection, the anterior interosseous nerve as well. So the radial nerve, by the nerve to the anconeus and the nerve to the medial head of the triceps, supplies the posterior and anterolateral capsules. And the ulnar nerve, the ulnar collateral ligament, and a small region of the posterior medial capsule. Of course, think of the ulnar nerve on the medial side going into that little notch here. So the median nerve, if we look at where it's coming off here and down the arm, it's just medial to the biceps, and it's going through the cubital fossa here, and it's going underneath and between the two heads of the pronator, which could be an area of impingement, and then it's going under the forearm flexors, and of course in the carpal tunnel. And here is your sensorial or sensations, skin sensation. So it's going to be the palm, partly the thenar eminence, the palmar aspect of the thumb, the index, the major, and half of the fourth finger. And then it will loop over the back, over the nails, up to like the distal phalanges as well. So again, the interfaces, we've got the anterior, the pronator, the anterior interosseous in here with the fascia, under the flexor digitorum superficialis and the carpal tunnel. And then if it is impinged, then people cannot do that. You'll see they won't be able to create that sort of pinch, and it will do this. The ulnar nerve, again, going behind the needle epicondyle, and then it's going to go underneath your flexor carpi ulnaris, and it's doing the medial side of the hand, or the ulnar side of the hand, anterior and posterior, the little finger and half of the fourth finger. So you can get cubital tunnel syndrome, compression in the ulnar groove, and the under the flexor carpi ulnaris. And then don't forget we have the tunnel de Guillaume, or the Guyon's tunnel, between the pisiform and the hook of the hamate. The radial nerve is going posteriorly, so up here is the axillary nerve for the shoulder, and then on the posterior surface is going to be the radial nerve, and in the hand, it's going to be the posterior part of the hand, but not in the fingertips dorsally, because that's the median nerve. And you can see it here going underneath the anconeus, but also it's going underneath the supinator, which is the arcade of Frosch, and that could be an area of impingement. So think of it, the interfaces. You have the supinator, the arcata of Frost, the brachioradialis tendon as well, and that is called Wartenberg syndrome, and then it's also under the extensor carporadialis brevis. And here's an example through the supinator. The musculocutaneous nerve is C5, C6, C7, and it's supplying the coracobrachialis, the brachialis, and the biceps. It goes under the biceps and through the coracobrachialis. And if it's under the biceps, it's between the brachialis and the biceps. So those would be interfaces, and it's innervating the forearm on the lateral side. Vascular supply. So we have the brachial artery, and then it's going to split into the radial and the ulnar artery as it passes the elbow. It's in the cubital fossa. And thank you so much.